On Monday, according to Reuters, Tokyo Electric, otherwise known as TEPCO, said that patrolling workers around the Fukushima nuclear site came across a new area of high radiation near storage tanks hastily built to house water that was used to cool Fukushima before becoming contaminated in the 2011 earthquake that wrecked the complex. They have been pumping waters, TEPCO, into the reactors to keep the damaged cores and store fuel from overheating, but that emergency step has created a secondary crisis of how to manage the contaminated water that is pumped back out. Workers had found no new signs of fresh radiation leaks. However, a radiation reading on the ground near the newly found hotspot would expose a worker in just 1 hour to the safety limit Japan has set for exposure over the course of 5 years. In other words, Japan says that if you're exposed to this amount of radiation over 5 years, you'll die. In this case, it is so radioactive that you get that exposure in an hour. No precise reading was given since workers were using instruments that only recorded radiation up to 100 millisieverts. In other words, they don't have machines on the ground that can measure how radioactive the ground seems to be there. One of the plans to cool this the reactor is a wall of frozen earth to be created around the reactors using pipes filled with coolant to prevent the groundwater from coming into contact with contaminated water being used to cool fuel rods. This something like this with the coolant has never been done on this scale. There's real concern that obviously that TEPCO has been lying repeatedly, and they are just the situation is beyond their capacity to deal with it. 430,000 tons of contaminated water, or enough to fill 170 Olympic-sized pools, are stored in the rows of tanks at the plant, which appears to be running out of open space to put them all. So we're still at the beginning of this Fukushima disaster, folks. I'm afraid that when our in-studio, our audience today, Ryan, who's 15, is maybe not necessarily sitting where I'm sitting now. Hopefully you'll have a better studio. But you will still be talking about this when you're my age, sadly.